Hello, my name's Aviva McClure, and I'm the director of the Cascade Festival of African Films. I'm here with Ayten Amin, who is the director of Souad, which is a film playing at our festival. And we're so happy to have you here, Ayten. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for screening the film.
Yes, we're delighted. I would love to just hear from you at first, if you could describe your film in just a few sentences.
Hmm. The story of the film is about two teenage girls, two sisters, who come from a conservative family in a small city called Zazi. It's near Cairo. It's like an hour and a half away from Cairo. So they come from this small conservative place, and one of the girls, Souad, is the big sister. She has like a double personality, a sort of double personality on her social media. So she has like these flings and these flirtations with guys over Facebook, whom she has never met. um, and these things, they have implications, or in tragic implications, on her life. And it will send the young girl, Rabab, um, into a journey, in answer for questions um, for the events that will happen to her sister.
Thank you. And this film, it's this week in our festival is Women Filmmakers Week. So the subject of the film, but also you personally, I'm curious if you can tell us about the importance of making this film for you, and maybe what it meant to you personally, if you're willing to share.
Well, this film, I had like this film for years, and I wanted to make it, and I had like, it was so weird. When I was making my first film, I had like this vision of this little girl who's going into a journey, um, with something about her big sister, and I kept having this image for a long time. And then I talked to my co-writer Mahmoud Izzat. We've worked together before. He's actually a poet, and he's like a short story writer. So he comes from a literary background. And I started telling him about this thing that I want to make about this little girl and her journey. And then we started talking about the two sisters, and that I want to make a movie outside of Cairo, and all about girls coming from small cities, and their relationship to social media. And this is how we started. But I was so obsessed with the idea that actually I started actually doing like a TV series at, in the middle of writing the film, and I couldn't get it out of my mind. Yani I finished the TV series, and it took like a year and a half, and I was still thinking about this film that I want to make, and about these two girls that I want to tell the story of. And I was so obsessed of shooting a film, with outside of Cairo, with girls who come from small cities, uh, because I always found them underrepresented in whether in TV or cinema. They're not there. um, and Mahmoud, because he was during the revolution, he had like thousands of followers on Twitter. So actually, he had a lot of followers who came from small cities. And when I told him about the story, we kept talking to girls who were following him, and they came to visit us in Cairo at the time, and we started having like these long conversations on video, and we would record them, about their life, about what happens, about their relationships, about a lot of things in their life. And actually, based on these conversations, we started writing the first draft of the script, and it kept going from here. Yani I went to shooting for a year and a half, for the TV series, and I went back, and during this even year and a half, because I always had it in my mind, I kept seeing girls from small cities, and trying to like research how do they live their life. So actually, it was a big thing for me, or maybe because I love social media in a way. I do not love it. I'm obsessed with social media. It's not love. It's a love-hate relationship. It's like I'm very obsessed with social media and how it changed us and changed humanity. And I believe that actually our brain is different. It functions differently now. Um, and at the beginning, because I was not young when social media was introduced to us, I was thinking that I don't think we were equipped psychologically to have all of these information about other people. And at the same time, I'm a very curious person. So actually, I used to follow a lot of people and see how they do in their, because maybe because I'm interested in writing and filmmaking, so I was always curious about people's lives. So it had a good impact on me, but at the same time, I was seeing how much it's um, it's difficult to grow up in this age where social media plays such an important part of our lives.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, I think your film just does a beautiful job of highlighting the impact on young girls specifically. Um, I'm curious about how you found the cast and characters for this film. I heard a little bit about the character development from this vision that you had, and I'm curious about how you found the right actors to play those roles that you had been thinking about for so long.
Yeah, that was that was a process. Yeah, it took a year, I think, and I've seen like more than 250 girls from all over. They were all out of Cairo. I was looking for yeah, as I was telling you, I was looking for girls who don't come from the big city, um, because part of the process of the film for me was getting characters who are in a bit have something similar to the characters in the film. Uh, because I wanted to work with improvisations and I wanted like to have parts of their lives and their real and the realness of them in the film. So actually, it took me a long time because I was looking for people who had a soul, you know, who had this something behind this world, to have a really rich inner world. uh so I was not just looking for actors. It was not, and it was like more of a collaborators who would help me complete these characters, because we had these characters built, but at the same time we wanted them just a moment. uh we wanted uh we wanted girls who can add layers to the characters written. And this is what happened actually exactly at the end, because even the little girl, her role when it was written, it was not that much similar to what happened actually in the film, because actually when she came, because I liked her so much, I felt that I think she can play the role. It will be a bit different than what we wrote, but I think she's the right person to do this. Because I loved, she was courageous. She had this courage about her. She was very brave when we were talking, and she has like a character, a strong character for a little girl. What we wrote before, for example, in Mahmoud, it was when he wrote it, it was more innocent than what is in the film. She's still innocent, but in a different way.
Mhm.
So actually, because I liked her so much, I decided that no, I will go with her, and as we were doing the rehearsals. We started improvising, and I did not read the script, so we were improvising all the time. I would just tell them the ideas of the scenes, and we would start improvising. um, and I would shoot all the time this, and then I go back to Cairo, to my co-writer, and he would watch what we did, and he would rewrite the scenes based on this.
Wow.
So actually, it was very collaborative. Actually, it was like back and forth between what was happening in the rehearsals and what I was writing with my co-writer. So we kept going back and forth between what was actually written and what we were doing. Um, and at the end, we came with something that I was so satisfied with, because it was like, it was more vibrant than what was written before.
Oh, that's amazing to hear about that part of the process. I feel like I can think of specific scenes that sucked me in that way, where I felt like I was there, like when all the girls are in the bedroom kind of talking.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
This was improvised, because we did a lot of improvisations before, and we had ideas of the scenes, and then we would improvise and do it. So the improvisations was not just like we will improvise now. It was not like this. It was, we did months of rehearsals, and during those months we kept coming up with a lot of improvisations. And we, when we were shooting, we would do improvisations, but with a plan of what the scene is. So actually, it was kind of like, based on these rehearsals, they knew exactly what to do. But they had the freedom to whatever they feel in the scene they would do, and the DOP, the cameraman, knew that he had to follow them as if we're shooting a documentary. So, and this is what I really wanted, you know, this feel. That's why actually I was looking for non-actors from the beginning, because I did not want actors to play the roles. I wanted someone to have like to collaborators in the project.
Yes, I love this. I mean, I feel like that is what it felt as an audience member, that it was a privilege to have a window into the lives of these girls in a way that felt just so close to them, close to their stories in this way that was so beautiful. Thank you for that.
Thank you,
Um,
Avita.
yeah,
I wanted to ask you, this interview, it will run before or after the film screening?
good question. Yes, this will run after the film. So
After, so I can talk about
talk
whatever in
about
the
it.
film.
You can
Okay.
talk about it. In fact, I'm curious, like just knowing that, audiences will see this talk with you just after the film. Like, I'm curious if there were lessons that you learned along the way in the making of this film that you would like audiences to consider.
Um, No, there was a lot. It was life changing making this film actually. So there was a lot of lessons. Yani, the first thing is that I really learned to trust my guts and trust my intuition in this film, because whenever I did this, I got the best results. Whenever I was scared, because I think at the beginning I didn't know how to get this film made, because I was too scared of the way I wanted to make this film, because it was unfamiliar for what I did before, and it was unfamiliar for the way cinema works here in Egypt. Um, so I think when I was scared, no one was totally convinced by what I wanted to do. They didn't think I could pull this off. But when I felt, then I decided that I will let it go, and then I will work with the way I want to work, and with how I feel will work best in the film. Actually, it turned out the best results came from this. So actually, what I really learned is is to do it my way. The process, the way I feel, the way I feel right, then I should do this. Um, that's actually the biggest lesson, and patience, because I was very patient, and yeah, I became very patient in making this film, because it was like we didn't have the money, all the money to make it, and like my best friend, he became the producer of the film. So actually we like shot for 3 days, and then we stopped for 2 months, and then we got a bit of money and we went back to shooting, and then we stopped for 5 months, and then we went back to shooting for 2 or 3 days. We stopped, and then went back and stopped and went back. Uh, so actually this process, although at the beginning it looked like, because we didn't have the money, we had to go through all of this, but actually it was very positive for the film, that I had the time to shoot for a few days and then stop because I could reflect on what I was doing. I could edit a bit and then rewrite other scenes if I want to. I rewrote the second half of the film completely when I shot the first half. I actually rewrote it. It was not like this. It was not beginning like this. It was not ending like this. Um, I rewrote it because in the editing I felt, oh, I don't feel that the film should end this way. The character wouldn't do this. So actually, I learned to be open, be open and patient because what seems sometimes to be a problem actually can be a blessing.
Mhm.
So not having money was really a blessing in this film because I had total freedom. When you have money and you have big producers with you, you're not that free. But because there, it was like we were making it with our own money and it was a small budget. Um, I had the freedom to make choices that I normally maybe they would not be accepted in the way cinema is made here.
Mhm. Oh, so beautifully put. It makes me think of for a painter, you have the colors on your palette to work with, and sometimes the limitation can produce like the greatest result, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Yeah, that's so beautiful too, with just thinking of that in combination with what you were saying with how the film was shot with description of the scene, and the characters and the actors are really bringing their character to life, you know.
Yeah.
I could feel that throughout the film. And I do think that your film is so inspiring, and the topics are dealt with so beautifully in your film for young audiences. So I'm curious for you, was there like a message there for young women in particular, or for young people?
I wouldn't say a message like this, but at the same time, there was a lot of things that I wanted to say with this film, of course. Uh, but I think the thing that actually made me connect with the girls and made me really want to make this film was the identity crisis that we have here in our society as women, because usually, and actually, and as men, because the guy has the same issues differently, but it's the same. It's about being yourself when everything is pushing you to act in a certain way in order to be accepted. um, so I think that's why I related to the girls so much and I had this connection with them. It's because I totally understand that they have to put on a certain persona in order to be accepted. And I do this in my daily life, although we may not come from the same background, but it's the same. What we suffer from is the same, actually. And I think this uh, was the most important thing for me, is is the pain of not being yourself in your everyday life. For me, it's so painful, although it might not be like the big issues. And there's no rape in the film. The father is not abusive, or he doesn't. The things that you would expect to have in these kind of stories. I didn't want this at all. Actually, I just wanted a normal daily life of an Egyptian girl who's just the problem is that cannot be herself. And it was reflected also in the guy, because also the guy, it was so easy to condemn him and make him be the guilty guy in what is happening. But at the same time, yeah, he did a terrible mistake, but at the same time he is also suffering because because he's trying to play a role and to do stuff the way the society tells him to be, and to get married in a certain way, to be socially in a certain way. Even the relationship he had with the girl, uh, he thought that this girl cannot be she's not socially presentable for him,
Mhm.
although he liked her so much. uh بس برضه the society tells him that this is not the one for him, that he should be with a certain type in a certain way, and to keep up appearances in a way. Uh, so actually, he's just like them. He's just not being himself. He has this identity thing. And I think this is was what was my concern in making the film.
Mm. I loved how you brought out that complexity in the male character through the younger sister, and their dialogue and their relationship. And in some ways I also felt like the younger girl was almost more free or more herself,
Yeah,
which
she
gave some
is.
redemption, right?
Yeah. Yeah, of the three characters, I think she's the one who has the courage. Maybe that's why actually I like the actress, the little girl. She's more courageous than Souad and Ahmed. Um, yeah, and of the three characters, of course, I was rooting for her in the whole film because I really feel for her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was rooting for her too. Well, I'm curious just to hear from you about. I know that you have such a rich history of working in film, and I'm curious about any next projects or where audiences can find your upcoming work, or even for us as a festival when we can check back in.
Well, I have two other projects. One is I'm still working. Actually, I'm working with Mahmoud also, my co-writer in Said, and we're working on another project together. Um, so we're still, yeah, we have a treatment in a way now, and we will start looking for money soon. And I have another project, but it's a commercial comedy that I'm going to make in Egypt. Actually, it's a personal project also, but I'm doing it in a scale in the Egyptian way of making films. Um, and I'm so grateful that I'm actually going to make this comedy because I had this project for so long. And then when I made Souad, which is completely art house, one of the commercial producers in Egypt, he watched it and he actually loved it, and he asked me, do you want to work in commercial cinema or do you have any projects? And I told him, yeah, I had this project, and it's actually about my, it's a family comedy, it's about my family. And he told me, yeah, that's a good idea, let's make it. so so I'm happy I'm making this film, and I'm working on my next art house project, so
Awesome.
wait.
Awesome. Yes, we'll wait and we'll definitely be on the lookout. Well, thank you so much for meeting with us today and for being just a central piece of our Women Filmmakers Week. It's really inspiring to not just bring your story, but bring your insight to our audiences. So thank you.
Thank you, Aviva, so much. Thank you. I loved this conversation.
Yeah, me too.